Good morning and welcome to Day 4 with the man Frank SCALISH. This is show number 199 and a half, which is a natural number.
199 and 3/4.
Yeah. Q&A show today. You've got a couple questions that guys have sent in.
Yes.
I've got some questions for you from listeners, and also link is in the bio for today's shows, Frank. So if you want to join Day 4 with Frank SCALISH and you have a good internet and audio signal, the link is in the bio. And after we get through the business at hand, we'll take listeners. All I have to do is click on the link in the YouTube description to join the show live and ask Frank a question.
That's cool, dude. I didn't know we were doing that. I thought we were just taking questions.
No. And then there's a prize for the winner of the best question. So that is also scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Frank, what have you been up to?
Dude, I have first, before we get started, I have to congratulate you on a
wait, before we get there. Are you not reading the scrolling banner?
No, winner of the best question. You're such an idiot. That is not true. That is not true.
I know you want to give back on show number 200. Why don't you read to the listeners and viewers what the winner of today's best video question receives?
Okay, this is not true, but we'll live in Frank's extra bedroom for up to 1 month, and Frank will take him to all his secret fishing spots across Ohio.
To me, that sounds like a fantastic incentive for you to click on the link in the YouTube description. I know Elite Series tournament going on right now. A lot of stuff going on right now live, but there it is. So when we get to the second half of the show, your chance. Now, will the guests get to use the newly renovated bathroom?
This is not true.
I heard
this is so not true.
I heard that LureNet was going to cover their per diem too, $11 a day. So if you wanted to fix them up, a leafy green salad or something, it was covered.
Outstanding, Matt. That's about the funniest thing you've done so far. Oh my God, I didn't even read that. I was just watching, scrolling down, and I'm just.
I know. I thought you said it. I thought maybe you were just like, screw it. You'll be like, I'll never see him. I'll be chained in the basement designing 17 new colors.
Oh yeah, I wish it was only 17.
Oh my God.
Oh, is that funny, dude? Holy shit, that is the funniest thing ever. So,
yeah, but anyway, thank you. All right, that was
a big
made my morning.
A big congratulations to you and Courtney. I think I like Courtney better than you, but that's okay.
I like her better than me too. Everyone who's met her, been around her or anything, she is one of those people. Listen, we'll do this for 3 minutes and we'll move on to fishing. I did get engaged over the weekend, but she's one of those people who you instantly know that she's a good human being.
Yes.
Within the first, there's just certain people that you meet. There's other people where you're like, yeah, you might be a nice guy.
Now.
Yeah, he also might. Or she might be a nice girl. She also might run me over with her car in a month.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You never got the axe murderer vibe from Court, which if she's listening to the show, she'll be like, oh yeah, that's a great ringing endorsement, Matt. But
yeah, no, exactly.
No, it's one of those things where it's easy. I mean, I'm 40. It's the first time I've given a ring to anybody. We'd already made plans, the venues paid for already. And we've got a date and all that stuff, but it was easy. It was very easy.
It's easy when it's right.
Mm-hmm. And one of the cool things is, one of the things that I told her was, I was like, dude, she's like, oh, are all your friends, either excited or oh, why would you get married? Because of the fishing. And I said, Frank has told me before, and so I'm sure you've told your kids that too. And we've all been through shitty relationships and good relationships. And I know you you're like, dude, when it's right, it's right. You don't hesitate. You talk about your wife, about how it works so well, and when it works, and I'm excited for it. So I'm not sure what the point of that was. It has nothing to do with fishing, but it's life. I mean, people follow our lives here. People are going to be like actually going to be part of your life when the winner of the best question today will live in Frank's extra bedroom.
Again, this is not true. This is not true.
For up to a month. So basically, if you just want to do it for a day, it's fine. If you want to stay for 30, and Frank will show you all the secret fishing spots across Ohio.
This is not true. That's my disclaimer. That's not true. It's BS. What are you doing now?
Just to sweeten the pot. The winner will also go on a jet ski adventure with Frank.
I'm gonna break that computer next time I'm at your house.
But no, it was cool. I was saying it's weird how like things get you get like excited for certain things and nervous for other things. I will tell you, once that ring was on her finger, it was a big sense of relief, which I did not know. You know, I didn't really have. I was kind of numb, but she was like, "You don't seem like, you know, giddy with excitement like I am." You know, this is long after, like not in the moment.
Right.
And I was like, dude, I think for dudes, it's a little bit different than it is for chicks, especially when it's like not a 50-50 yes or no thing.
It's way different, dude. When I asked Rachel to get married, I don't even remember it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember it.
How did you do it?
Oh my God. I'm just here for the free living expenses. I did it downtown in a place where we were at one time when the first day she told me that she loved me.
Wait, you proposed the same day that she told you that she loved you?
No.
Oh, you went back to the same spot because it was a memorable spot for you guys.
Right. And of course it was like 99 degrees outside.
Sweating bullets.
Oh, it was brutal, dude. And then of course on top of that you had the nerves, you know, and everything. But I wasn't giddy either. I mean, I was petrified.
Do you think there was a chance she was going to be like, not today, Frank?
No. I just knew from how we were in the beginning that there was no chance to hear the word no.
I got you. That's good.
And to be quite honest with you, I had been through a lot prior, way prior. So I wasn't playing games. You
weren't going to do it unless you knew you wanted to.
Yeah, there's no, absolutely not. I was kind of brutal after, after my first relationship went south. If I was out with somebody and I got the first inkling that there was nothing there, I just bail.
Not a bad move.
I just bail.
Did you? So you did it in a meaningful location. I ended up putting so my first thought was I wanted her to be out on the lake, cast a buoy, have my buddy Miller at the bottom with the ring and his scuba gear because he's scuba certified. Then he pulls on the line, she reels it in, the ring's there. And then I realized that there's just about 9 million ways that could go wrong.
Dude, there's a lot of ways that can go wrong. The guy could come up with the scuba suit and he could have a heart attack.
Have a Rapala G11 stuck in his hand.
Yeah.
Ring doesn't come in. She's like, okay, where's the next cast? I'm like, is there anything on there? No, not at all. You're like, oh crap. But I put in like a tide pool down at the beach or the ocean that had like an overlook deal so our family and friends could be up there and see it. And then we were looking for sea anemones and starfish and stuff. And she was like, what is that? She's like poking at it. She's like, is that like a piece of trash in the tide pool? And I was like, God, I hope not.
You better get it.
Yeah, there's the ring. So, all right.
That's good. That's good.
You said you had the Dicey trailer. Should we bring Trailer Rick in for your day-to-day story?
Yeah, I don't care.
What's up, Trailer
Rick? What's up, dudes?
How we doing? What are you doing, man?
Dodging rain. How about you guys?
No, not dodging rain. Sitting in the house on this computer.
Are you logged on because you're looking forward to spending a month in Frank Scalish's spare bedroom and learning all
Man,
the
I can't.
fishing spots
I can't
across
think.
Ohio?
I can't think of a better prize. That's awesome. I'm glad he's doing that.
Yeah.
again, folks.
Now, I just wanted to jump on real quick and say, dude, 200 shows, great, awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, we
Thanks,
might have you
man.
back for the actual 200th show, Trailer Rick.
Well,
This is show number
199
and a half.
Yeah. 199 and a half.
And so,
But I guess this looks familiar to you guys.
Where is that?
Ingalls Harbor.
Really?
Yeah, Decatur. So
here we go.
what's that say? Not true.
Prize not true.
That's hilarious.
Does that open us up for legal litigation?
No, I just
Look,
disclaimed
Pete
it.
said he would even cut the grass. And he wants to be staying in Bama's room.
And the chances of seeing a paddleboard chick are pretty good.
Yeah.
Over there. Oh yeah, with me. Yeah,
With you.
yeah.
All right,
that's
where are you
true.
again, Rick?
I'm in Ingalls Harbor, Decatur, Lake Wheeler.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. Sea Arc Owners catfish tournament this weekend. So
Oh, dude, those catfish guys do not mess around. I've been watching some catfish videos about how they do controlled drifts with planer boards, cut shad and stuff. It is even crazier than I thought it was. I think we've talked about it before. But I mean, those catfish guys, they ain't afraid to spend some money.
No. I mean, some of these rigs are, they'll rival the cost of a bass rig, and some of them are even more.
Hey, dude, did you go catfishing? Because you said you were going.
If we get set up, maybe later this evening, but the weather's not looking good.
Oh, that's too bad. I was.
Yeah, it's sketchy. Here's
Go ahead.
I mean, check that dude out.
Oh, that's slick.
Yeah, that's nice.
That looks like something you see patrolling the border at Amistad is what it looks like.
Only thing missing is
probably dub is that.
Buoy to buoy.
Yeah, the only thing missing is the turret.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I think they've got close to 200 boats signed up, so it's going to be a full weekend.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Good times. All right. Well, thanks for jumping on, Rick.
Thank you guys. I just wanted to say congrats, Frank, and
thanks.
I don't know where I'll be next Thursday, but shoot me a text or something.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll be in touch with you.
All right, guys. See you, man.
Right, see ya.
Peace out, Rick.
There you go. The one and only
dude. Yeah,
Yep.
what a good dude, man.
Yep. Maybe we could get him smoking a stogie for show 200.
And a bourbon.
Yeah, double bourbon, not just a single bourbon.
No, so when he came over, he sent me this. He gave me this.
That is the high and wicked straight bourbon.
Yeah.
That looks like an expensive bottle of bourbon, Frank.
Knowing Rick, it is.
All right, let me pull this Instagram thing up because this is what I wanted to ask you about. Because everyone knows if it's not on Instagram or Facebook, it didn't happen.
Yeah, and it's not true.
Sorry, I'm texting Todd Seisner from In Fisherman. You know what wormhole I got down yesterday? Illegal kids playing in the Little League World Series. It's the most.
Well,
like the cheating, and I don't even know it's not even Little League World Series time. But I saw one thing about like a kid who had grown up after
he was shaving.
I texted Todd Sizer this. I said, "Did you know that cheating is rampant in international Little League competition? Really chaps my ass." And then he responded with all this stuff, and I went down a complete wormhole of what has happened to all the 16-year-olds caught pitching in the Little League World Series.
Oh yeah, dude. They were not even like they were old. They were like, 18 years old, 19 years old. It was crazy. It's crazy.
All right. So here's a picture. There's a number of pictures of you. Well, obviously you're fishing by yourself.
Yes.
And the
Always.
title is Found a Load of Bigs, Epic Day for Sure. I think I've texted my buddies that after some nights at the bar. Started off fishing out and worked my way in until I found them, then put the smack down on them. And you definitely put the smack down on them.
Oh yeah,
sounds like it might be story time with Frank with a little education mixed in.
Oh yeah, it's going to be educational. So I was on this lake a week or so ago, and maybe 2 weeks ago, and the water temps were 43-ish, right in that range, 43, 45 at the end of the day. Main pattern was A-rigs, and it was really tough and really slow. I couldn't get them going on minnows. I couldn't get them going on anything. The only thing I could catch a fish on was an A-rig, and to be honest with you, I barely caught them. Mm-hmm. So what happened was yesterday I went back, and I didn't know what the water temps were going to be. Didn't know the condition of the water because it was
yesterday, as in April 23rd.
Yeah, yesterday is in April 23rd, Wednesday.
So I ate a meat stick before the show, and now every time I take a drink of coffee, it smells like spiced meat. Anyway, sorry.
Perfect.
I wasn't making a face at you. I was making a face that I smell like.
That's okay.
Jalapeno and beef.
Yeah. So yesterday's we are just going to go down a
bad summer combo.
Yeah. That add cigarette smoke to the mix, and you got probably the worst.
Someone refers to your signature set, and the word beef is involved.
Yes,
you probably need to make better life choices.
Ode to beef, my new fragrance. Ode to beef. But yeah. Okay. So anyway, yesterday I go out there. Water temps are 50 degrees when I got there.
Okay.
And so what I did was I started out with, I have some maps because this is a process. So I started out targeting deeper grass near spawning flats, inside swings, and then the spawning flats. And it was really bizarre because I had a bunch of lures out. I had my red crankbaits out, jerk baits. I had a jig. I had a Texas rig soft plastic. Mm-hmm. I had a jigs and minnows out, flick shake, chatterbaits. I had everything on the deck. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I get my first bass, and this is when I didn't realize it was a problem yet. But I got my first bass. I got it on a grass edge, 8 to 12 feet. There's rock around it and stuff. Rock is always important up here, especially on the grass lakes, to find hard bottoms. I stayed near the spawning flats. Okay. I got another bass in grass that was like 6 to 10 feet deep, again on the jig. Then I caught another one later on a deep edge of grass on an inside swing of a point. So I'm like, okay, so I'm putting something together. I got 3 fish. I'm putting something together, but it's taking a while. This isn't like boom, boom, boom. I mean, time is ticking. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I pick up the chatterbait. I start slow rolling the chatterbait over some of the flats, and I catch a bass on the chatterbait. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm using a chatterbait with a big minnow on it, like the Yum 5-inch minnow.
Okay.
I'm keeping
big profile,
keeping it chatty, covering water. So about, 2 hours go by, and I catch my 5th one. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a grind it out, crazy flipping day. So the long and short of it is, I didn't catch another fish after that. And I spent 3 hours maybe fishing so far, and I've got about 11.5 pounds. 2 came on a chatterbait, 3 came on the jig. I said, this ain't good. This isn't good. I have to make an adjustment. So what I wound up doing was I wound up actually, because I got led astray by this pattern. So I hit about 8 spots that looked just like it. and to no avail. I didn't catch a thing, nothing.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't the deal. I just ran into 5 bites. It was not the deal. So I changed completely around. I changed everything completely around. I got off of the deep stuff. I started to go shallow. I still wasn't catching them. So I took a break for a second. I started looking at my maps and I said, okay, I need to do something completely different. So I go into this area here, and this is a close facsimile. So this is the land mass here. It has a big giant flat rounded point off the land mass that goes into the main lake. All right. This is just a bay. It's not like a creek arm or anything.
Okay.
It's just a big bay. It also has a deep ditch that runs in off the point, and then as you get in the back corner of the bay, you've got this big giant high spot and another deep ditch. In the wintertime, I caught them out here in this deep hole and over here in that deep hole and down here on the main lake where everything comes into play. So I go in here, and what I wind up doing is, this is a big spawning flat. It's super shallow. You can see it's 2 to 4 feet deep. And then when you see this 8-foot mark, this distance is probably 30 yards off the bank.
So a full cast, like 2 casts.
Yes, yes, 2 casts off the bank. So I slid in. Oh, I slid in here from the main lake, starting out, sliding in here, throwing the big minnow chatterbait. I caught one, and a good one.
And you use the big minnow on it just so to keep the bait up, to give it some bulk.
Yes, give it some buoyancy, and I wanted a bigger profile. So I caught one right away, and it was a good one. So I said, oh, all right, cool. So I started fishing through there. About 30 casts, 40 casts later, I caught another one on the big minnow thing. I'm like, oh, excellent. Well, I didn't get any more bites on it. I picked up the flick shake, started throwing the flick shake around, wasn't getting bit on the flick shake. I said, you know what? They don't want bait fish. They don't want shad looking bait fish. So I pulled another rod out. I rigged another chatterbait, more natural, black, blue, and green pumpkin. I put a spine craw, a Yum spine craw as a trailer on it, went back around through the area, and in about 3 hours, I wound up catching over 30 bass. I had, my biggest limit was 22 to 23 pounds.
They were choking it.
They were smoking it.
That's it. I remember you did a whole show on trailers, and you said that was one of the most underrated chatterbait trailers, especially in the pre-spawn.
100%. So listen to this. I had 2 limits between 18 and 19 pounds on top of the 22 to 23 pound limit. And I did all of that in 3 hours. And then the funniest thing of all was, I was leaving. I had other places in the lake that were really super similar to that. And it was I had quite a drive home, so it was getting kind of late, and I was going to leave, and I said, I got to stop on one place on the way in, because I'm going to run right past it, and it's a big rock flat with a lot of smallmouth that spawn on it. I wanted to go see if I can do this and catch some smallmouth. So I shut the boat down. I dropped the trolling motor in the water, and Frankie calls. So I threw him on speakerphone. I threw the phone on the front deck. I grabbed my chatterbait with the spine craw trailer. I grabbed that, and I slung a cast out. And I'm talking to Frankie. He's like, how you doing? And I told him I smashed him. I said I absolutely wrecked him. And then I make another cast. This is my second cast with him on the phone. All of a sudden, I got him. I set the hook, reel him in, and I'm laughing my ass off. He goes, what's so funny? I go, dude, I got another 4-pounder. And I slung it in the boat, unhooked it, talked to him for a little while, hung up with him, and then bolted and left. To come back home. And to be honest with you, I wanted to get home because the Cavs are in the playoffs, and I wanted to watch the second game since we won the first game. And so I wanted to make it home in time to do that. And I promised Rach I would cook up crappie last night. So I had work to do when I got home. So I had to go. But it was really cool because I had done a locker room with a guy the other day. And part of that discussion was how do you approach the water? What do you do? So in the beginning, when I was on a lot of the main lake stuff, this stuff here, I caught fish. Okay. Now they weren't big. I think the biggest one I got off of that stuff was 2.5 pounds.
Yeah. No, you know what you went there for.
Right. 100%. And so with that being said, it would have been easy to stay with that pattern the rest of the day. And maybe I would have caught 10. You know what I mean? Maybe I would have caught 10.
Yeah, but that doesn't look good for the gram.
No.
The little ones and not very many. I mean, you want the ones that like this, Frank, like you posted that. I mean, look, you can't even see your head.
Oh, dude.
Look at the size of that thing.
Look at the shadow on its belly.
You're talking, yeah, right there. See the little crease?
Dude, they're giants, man.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, they were all giants. And
to make the adjustments to get there following exactly what you preach. Well, that's why so many people message and say, holy crap, it worked.
Yeah. But it was
Frank's strategy worked.
Right, but it was crazy because that locker room was super fresh in my head, and I was going down the rabbit hole of not having a good day, and I remembered that you have to fish from this time of year. You have to start out and go in until you run into them. And when I was on the main lake stuff, now here I'll be honest with you. I've fished this lake a few times before, and the main lake stuff produces on this body of water. It produces. And I was I was starting to get real antsy because I'm like, this isn't normal. You know what I mean? This isn't normal. So what happens later in the season is you could target the largemouth, and then you go into those areas like I finished up in. You go into those areas, but you catch a whole slew of, you catch 1-pounders, a lot of bucks, female in the mix. I just hit it right where all the big females were staging to go in. They were right on that little bitty.
Now let me ask you that. Does this change daily, or is this like a thing that they're there for a week or two, or did you just happen to hit it? You know what I mean? Where you talk about staging, like, are they going to be staged there for a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week? Is this a thing where they slide up there for a couple of hours? You see what I'm saying? Like, if you wanted to go back, is that something that you could do again, or would you have to re-find them?
No, I could go right back there and catch them again.
I got you.
Now, here's the thing. They'll be there now until the spawn's over.
Okay.
And more will come in. Like fish were coming in when I was fishing it.
Okay.
Like I could see them cockroaching on the bottom coming in.
That's strong.
And so in fact I saw like four of them moving on the bottom. You know how it is when they move on the bottom, Matt. And I lobbed the chatterbait out there. I watched the chatterbait go down, and I started slow rolling, and I can see the chatterbait going, and I came into those fish, and all of a sudden one of them started to go this way, and my line gets tight, and I flipping got it. I mean, it was like, holy crap. And so it was fun because I just kept going back and forth in about a 40-yard stretch, going back and forth. And every pass, I caught them.
Were they slacklining it or just ticking it?
No, dude, listen to this. I would drag it, and then I would hit a rock or a stump, and all of a sudden it would be like I snagged into the stump, and I would pull on them, and it'd go whoom, 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 and I was
so they were eating it. It wasn't like a reaction bite on it. I mean, those fish were trying to put protein in their system to help them be more prepared for the spawn.
Oh yeah, none of them were hooked where I was like, "Ooh, I gotta lip that." You know what I mean? There was nothing of the chatterbait sticking out.
You had a question. Do you have that question ready that you wanted to talk to? Also, if you want to jump on and ask Frank a question or comment, the link is in the YouTube description of the show. All you have to do is click on that. It'll take you directly to StreamYard. You just click engage video and audio. It pops up. I see you down there, and then I bring you into the show just like Trailer Rick did.
Sweet. So here's the thing. So the question is, what's the best process for finding places that are stopping points for fish, both coming into the spawn and headed out post-spawn on river systems? So I thought about this question.
That's a tricky question.
So what I'm thinking is we're going to do a show on it.
That's what I said. That's a whole show.
Yeah, we're gonna do a show on it.
Maybe show 201.
Yeah, so I'm gonna save the question in my phone, and then we are absolutely gonna do a show on it. It's way too detailed of a question. Plus, I want diagrams and stuff.
I totally screwed the pooch this week. So as you know, and if you go ahead and jump on if you want to ask Frank a question or not, or else we'll just get to the rest of the ones that are sent in. But as you know, I've got that St. Jude Bass Classic. If our listeners don't know, then they haven't listened to BTL in the last month because I've just been hammering it.
Every episode.
Dude, $5,900 in T-shirt sales directly to St. Jude. Just from BTL.
Dude, that's good.
Yeah, ATS printing. I would venture to say they're some of the best screen printers in the world. Really stepped up on this one to get it done.
They do all our stuff too.
Yeah. But I was super pumped for everybody. 5,900. Anyway, that takes place in early May. Always does. I also have a media event because I'm not on the Elite Series. I didn't know if you knew that, Frank. I'm not on the Elite Series.
I did not know that.
And but the Elite Series is fishing on Lake Hartwell. So my boats, I've got a one standard on one side and the best on tour on the other, and I got a bunch of different sponsors on it, right? But they're doing a media event at Hartwell that starts this upcoming Monday. So I was like, cool, I'll go do the media event, leave Sunday, do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, screw around on either like Murray or Lanier on Thursday and Friday on my way up to Minnesota, where I'll start practice for the St. Jude on Sunday. Bart and I are fishing out of separate boats. I want to see if I can make the scope thing happen. He's doing the river thing. Then we'll jump in the boat together on Wednesday. I'll go pick up Court from the airport on Thursday, and then boom, I got a relaxing St. Jude week. Got a VRBO with Frankie Jr. and Juice. So it'd be me, Frankie Jr. and Juice, and then Court comes in to just keep things under control for the last couple days, right? Sounds fantastic,
yeah,
right?
She's going to have her hands
Matt
full.
Steffen, Miles Berghoff in there. We've got a fish fry planned for that Wednesday. We're doing steaks, all sorts of, like, that's a time, right?
Dude, it sounds like a blast.
So I'm talking to Juice, and originally he was going to ride up there with me, which that's a long time in a truck with Juice. I'd have to somehow hit him with a sedative. But long story short, he's like, what do you mean you're going to South Carolina? I said, I got to drive out there for the media event and come back. He goes, the Jude starts next week. And I was like, no, it doesn't. There's a week in between there. He goes, no, I double booked the media event in the St. Jude.
Oh my gosh, dude.
In a roundabout way. Like, I'll still be able to get there. But I was thinking I was going to get to practice Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and part of Friday between me and Bart's boat, and have, just a little unwind time at this VRBO that's right on the river and all that. No, I have the media event that I now am leaving as soon as it is over Wednesday night, then driving 19 hours to Wabasha to hopefully get the boat in for a half day of practice before registration is Friday night,
Dude,
and the tournament is Saturday, Sunday. I'm such an idiot.
Oh my gosh, dude. You put yourself in a spot, man.
I put myself in a spot, not like a pickle, just a spot I didn't want to be in.
Well,
and I really like the media event because it's on Hartwell. It's after the Elite Series. That's my favorite lake in the country. And I really love the St. Jude tournament. So now I don't get to experience the full effect of either of them.
Well, yeah, you got to.
Now I get to rush out of the media event, and then I get to rush to the St. Jude and miss that whole fun experience while they're cooking just delicious cuts of meats and cheeses and fish.
So you're actually going to get there a day later.
Yeah, I get there on Thursday. Thursday around noon is what it looks like. It looks like I'm probably going to pick Court up from the Indianapolis airport at midnight on Wednesday, which puts me about 8 hours away, which after we sleep for 3 or 4 hours gets her to the VRBO around noon, drops me off, and I get a half day Thursday and a half day Friday to go try to figure something out. Now, Bart's on the water practicing. So, I mean, last year we won it, and I literally took the red eye and got in at 5 a.m. and the tournament started at 6. But
Did you really?
Yeah. I fished in Alabama on Thursday and Friday. Tournament started Saturday morning, and then I took the red eye to Minneapolis, got in early Saturday morning. Court had already flown in, got in a rental car, picked me up straight from the airport, drove me straight to the boat. I had 4 reels, put them on the rods.
You were a glutton for punishment.
Yeah,
man.
Straight to the ramp.
God, to be young again and not have to worry about anything.
I'm having that. Have you dealt with that when you're driving for a long time? Is that the sciatic nerve or wherever, where it's kind of like on the side of the cheek back there? That's like kind of where the bone joint is, where it's like everything's fine, and then all of a sudden you find yourself like kind of supporting yourself on one cheek, and you have to get out of the truck and move the thing around.
Yeah, 100%. And
that's a new development in my life, Frank.
The other one is my shoulder.
Really?
Yeah, I had shoulder surgery. This was during the elites, and I couldn't. Every time I would move my arm, it would feel like somebody pulled my arm out of its socket. And I was having trouble fishing and casting and just moving around. I couldn't lift my arm like that. It would go and stop right about there.
So it was starting to get frozen.
Yeah, and so I go see this sports doctor who does like all the Browns and the Indians and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, we're going to go in orthoscopically and we're going to take care of it. And you'll be good to go. The recovery time will just be a couple of weeks. No big deal. And I said, it has to be only a couple of weeks because I have to fish. I can't miss an event. Oh yeah, don't worry. He said, don't worry. It's, you'll have 3 little holes on your shoulder where we go in there. I go, okay, cool. Let's get it done. So he goes, in the meantime, because I had to go to an event, he goes, in the meantime, I'm going to give you 6 cortisone shots in your shoulder. And then you can
I bet it felt like $1 million.
Dude, the cortisone shots hurt worse than anything ever.
But didn't it feel good then?
No, they had to go in underneath my shoulder. And so I got 3 in the front and 3 in the back. So listen to this crap. So I get back from the tournament. I have to do my surgery. So I'm going into surgery. And when I come out, okay. Oh, I just got ink all over me. So when I come out,
dude, I do the exact same thing every single show. Look at my hand.
Oh yeah.
I got ink all over it. I just sit there and play with the pen and click it probably incessantly. Sorry.
Right. Well, I'm just drawing something real quick, but so I go in to do the surgery. I come out, and here's the deal. Okay, the surgeon is standing over me when I wake up, which I'm very confused because usually the surgeon ain't there.
Yeah, they're already out eating a ham sandwich. Admiring their handiwork.
100%. So I'm like, what's up, Doc? And he goes, it's not what we thought. And I go, that's not really clear. What's not like we thought? He goes, well, we got in there and we found that your bicep had torn and reattached to your bone in a funny spot. And so every time you moved your arm, it dislocated your shoulder.
Funny or funny haha?
Right. So
Funny
right. So I said, so what? So I said, so what did you do? He goes, we had to cut your bicep off and reattach.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. And I go, how long is that going to be? How long is my recovery? And he's like, about 6 or 7 months. I'm like, that ain't going to work. I got a tournament in 4 weeks. He goes, well, you aren't fishing in it. I said, oh, yes, I am. He goes, if you fall down and you tear that muscle off of your, off of the where we attached it, we won't be able to attach it again. He goes, there was nothing left of it. And so I said, well, I'm going fishing anyway. So here's what I did. So I started to rehab early. I got pulleys and hung them up on the wall in the basement, and I just gradually would stretch and stretch and stretch and started rehabbing early. I couldn't move my arm at all. I had a cast and a sling on that held it in place. Okay. And I couldn't hold a fishing rod. It was unbelievable. So here's what I wound up doing. So I go to the event. I have the sling on my arm. I got a Velcro strips, those long Velcro strips with a sticky stuff on one side and the plastic thing. You know how a Velcro strip works.
Yeah.
And I
They're like
literally
the most handy thing for bass fishing, by the way.
Yeah. So I literally grabbed the rod and I wrapped the Velcro like an ace bandage around the rod in my hand so I wouldn't lose the rod if I caught it. That
sounds painful.
It hurt like hell. And so that's how I fished two events like that. And then, of course, the biggest fear I had was I fell in the boat and went to catch myself and pushed my arm out to catch myself. And I heard like a popping sound, and I could not flip and move my arm. And I thought
I've heard that once. It was my labrum.
Yeah, and I thought I was done. And turns out I wasn't, and I rehabbed and I got over it.
You did the Z backwards.
Did I? Oh, I did.
It's the most dyslexic thing. How do you even do a backwards Z?
I am so dyslexic. Oh, I did do it backwards.
Yeah. I got a question in email here. I'll truncate it. Basically, what he would like to know is when in the spring do the bass get around the floating docks?
Okay, so they'll get to the floating docks. If those floating docks are anywhere near where they're going to spawn, they'll be on those floating docks as soon as they make their shallow movement. And here the floating docks could have a lot of water underneath them as long as they could spawn on the bank behind them. They'll get there. I actually saw some bass a few days ago when I was out on floating docks that were over 14 feet of water. Now, I did, in all honesty, I did not catch one of them. Everything that I caught that day was bottom related. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get the floaters to bite. But in my defense, I didn't throw a breaking shad or a super fluke or anything like that on them.
I'll go one step further with that. Why do they kind of, I would almost call it zombie float around the floating docks? Like I said, the elites are on Hartwell right now. It's a big thing out in the east. It happens a lot in the Ozark area, cleaner water fisheries. You'll just see those bass that are relating to, the black floating docks that go up and down with the water level.
Right.
But rarely, like in my experience, those are really tough to catch. And if you do, it's usually just one of them. But more times than not, they sink out of sight. You don't really see them. Like I was just over on Clark's Hill, and you could see the things underneath, and then they would just slowly sink. But then every 5th one or 10th one would just swim over and eat a wacky worm.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. They what I noticed was like I look underneath the floating dock when I get an angle right, and you know how you could see underneath. I look in between the sponsoons because you know how the black things are spaced apart. So I look in between the sponsoons and I see baby crappie and baby bluegills all over them. And then I'll see the bass, and usually I'll see the tail of it, or I'll see its silhouette as it sinks out of sight when I get close to it. It happens on Norman all the time.
Yep.
It's like a thing on Norman. I have a hard time catching them. Swim jig, fluke style bait, that kind of stuff. But it's like you said, you'll throw it 5 or 6 of them to catch one. It's just weird. I think they like that cover over their head, and then when they want to slide in to get to where they're going to spawn, the dock goes right to it. They just swim, right down the platform, right to it. And the big trick with the floating docks is they usually spawn where the walkway comes out. Over the bank, the walkway that comes out, you know how the transition will be like gradual and then it drops off into the deeper water. That's why.
Jeff is saying that's why he fishes a crappie. Bluegill glides around docks.
Yeah, dude, you're a glide freak machine, man.
So while we're on the glide bait talk, we both got a badass glide bait at the classic. But do you remember that was with me when there was just Steve Kennedy wandering aimlessly with a 5-gallon bucket of glide baits?
Yeah, that was so funny, dude. He was like a homeless man. All I have is this.
Yeah, and he's like, look at it.
Did he post pictures of him racking on them?
He did. No, he's posted a bunch of pictures. I want to make sure that I get this right. There's actually an article about him doing it. Hannah Robbins did it. Hunting big baits at the Bassmaster Classic. I think it's the G-Rat glide, right?
Yeah, I think that's the slender one.
Yeah. Dude,
yeah.
I got one headed my way.
Outstanding.
I'm super pumped.
That's good, dude.
Super pumped to go chuck that sucker around post spawn. So.
Okay, I fixed it.
Prize not true. Well, there is one. I don't know. I don't think we should commercialize this. But there is one starred that's like, will Frank make a deal with the winner and take them as his +1 to Matt's wedding? Should we give away a listener's listener trip to the wedding?
I can't do a Frank's +1 because it could be. I might be looking for a new wife down the road.
I should give that away.
Jeff just sent me these.
Oh pictures. Yeah, that's the KGB crappies.
That's pretty wild.
Here's some questions coming in. All right. With the Bass Nation on the James River, now I think 17.5 was leading, and I fished the James River during this time of the year, and it is a little interesting. Frank, can you discuss the spawning movements set up for tidal fisheries, Potomac, Chesapeake Bay, James, etc.?
Yeah, so the thing with the tidal water is you have to remember the bass are never going to spawn where the water comes out and their beds are dry. They're going to be just deep enough at low tide to spawn. So you have to be cognizant of that. And they're always going to have an object around them because they need a current break. So they'll always have an object, cypress knees, dock poles, clumps of grass, et cetera, et cetera. The cool thing about it is that it can be predictable. Their spawning locations in tidal waters can be predictable. It's the water clarity. They're not going to spawn so shallow that when the water leaves, they got nothing. So water clarity is kind of, it's more predicated on the safe depth. You know what I mean?
What I've noticed Like I said, I've done it twice on the James River in the Chickahominy. I spent a week there, and to me, it was shocking. I drew the first time when there was coing. So I drew a local who said, "You see that white shell next to the cypress." He goes, "That's a bed," and I'm like, "No way!" I was like, "It's in literally an inch and a half of water at low tide," and he said, "Oh, she's just right out here watching it." He said, "That's why there's a little drop where we are." He said she wants to be able to stay close to the bed and stay covered and hidden, but keep an eye on the bed because she couldn't get up there. And then he goes, he said, "Well, Ket did." He said, "Anywhere where there's the white." I was like, "Really?" And sure enough, like every single one, there'd be trees that you couldn't even get to, but they would still be
White.
wet. They'd still be wet up there, but you'd see the white clean spot of the shell around it.
Mhm.
And when high tide came in, those fish literally slid up as the high tide came in with it. It was the wildest thing that I'd ever seen, but it was always current breaks. Like these were on like main river stuff, Frank, but there would be like a little dip in where there was a current break and then the cypress trees, and then behind it, basically think of like a little horseshoe to where on the incoming tide it's not getting jacked with, and or on the outgoing tide it's not either. So if it's like a point on the backside of the point, they're getting a lot of current on either the outgoing or the incoming, but a little nook, a little notch, something that kept it on the ingoing and the outgoing, even if it was just 10 feet off of it. I was shocked at how main river they spawned and set up their beds and how close it was to deep water, but it was all predicated on a clean, hard spot next to that cypress that doesn't get jacked with, because it's not just like a TVA where the current's going one way.
Right. It's kind of cool because it's kind of cool to see how they set up.
Mm-hmm.
The shells are real easy to spot.
Oh, they're bright as shell. And I'm by no means an expert. It just, to me, you said there were certain, like, it was very, like, you could look at a notch and be like, there's going to be a couple beds up there as long as there's a little bit of flat.
It's really kind of cool. I mean, you know, they'll never have their beds where they're going to get dry. They'll never have them where it's going to get dry.
Yep. But they'll have them to where it's, 2 inches in low tide. It's amazing 100%. How they know that.
I know. And
that's like there's very few times you'll see bass in high water on the Ozarks that
get
spawn and then they get trapped where their water dry. It's like they know.
They do.
They know what the water level is going to be, or some innate way to where they're not like, oh, this is a perfect spawn thing, you know, next to this no parking sign. But I'm going to wait until the water recedes a little.
Yeah, it's funny because you never see a bass caught in a puddle, but you'll see carp and catfish caught in them.
Yeah.
Which is so wild.
Here's another question for TVA River Systems. Do you explore new spots or do you check old spots? How often will those spots produce fish?
Okay, so I'm a proponent of always looking for new stuff. If you get caught running spots, okay, you could get burned on it. Because they could some places now this is tricky because we got 4 seasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it depends.
Just do it once they get out on the stuff.
Okay, so
post spawn.
So post spawn in summer. All right. You have to check all kinds of offshore stuff because you'll find them on them at certain times. You'll find them on certain structural elements. Take a drink, Drunkwood. You'll find them on certain structural elements, and the closer you can do this to your derby day, the more likely the fish are going to be there during the tournament. But I've had places where I've had 15 offshore spots, and at a given time, 3 or 4 of those spots will go off, and the other ones won't. And so I make a milk run and I run them all. And then it's funny how this one tournament I fished, not all the spots that had the fish biting at the time when I got there had changed every day. It was different ones, but I had found these in practice. And when I found them, there was fish on them. So you could go back there next year and they won't hold fish at the time you're there, even if it's the same time. They won't hold them then. They'll show up. And so you create you keep finding new stuff, because eventually you're going to have such a good, you're going to have such a good structural outlay for offshore fishing that you'll be able to systematically go through them during practice time and see which ones are holding bass at that time. And here's the only trick I'm going to tell you. If it's a rock pile, a ledge, whatever it is, when you put the waypoint in there, label the high spot. This is 12 feet. This is 15. This is 20. Label the high spots, because what you're going to find is that if they choose a depth range and you look at your GPS and you go, oh, they're in 12 feet, you could see all your 12-foot high spots on your GPS.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go in there and run those and save you time.
Stuff. Pete, how do you tell the difference between 3-pound male or 3-pound female locked on the bed? How do you tell if it's a male or female? Doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, it's if they're underwater on the bed, it's hard to tell.
To me, the males are more likely to be more
small.
aggressive, a little bit smaller, and this is just my experience. The females tend to roll more on the bait than the males. A lot of time, the males will just go straight down and smoke it, and the females is where you'll get it, where they see it with that one eyeball and they tip over and hit it. And I don't know if that's because they've got eggs in them and it's hard the way. I don't know why that is, but it seems to me like the one that is swimming the fastest is almost, or moving the most, is almost always the male.
Yeah, and the thing is if they're paired up,
would you know? Is that agreed?
Yeah, 100%. If they're paired up, the male's usually smaller than the female of choice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a pretty good indicator.
Here's a good question. Small natural lake in Wisconsin. I have 2 casting and 2 spinning setups, and I'm never on them with how little I'm able to fish. What would your bait of choice be for those 4 combos to dial in a bite fast? And small natural lake, Wisconsin. Are we talking largemouth, smallmouth? Do you have a boat?
2 spinning,
2 casting. And let's just do pre-spawn. I mean, up Wisconsin's pre-spawn, right? Right now?
Yeah, right now they probably they're probably even before that. Not winter, but they're cold still. I'm
interested to see what you say here, because I think we'll be very close.
Yeah, so the spinning rod choices, because you're in Wisconsin and they're natural lakes, I'm gonna go Flick Shake or Ned on one, and a drop shot on the other one.
I put dinger / wacky and drop shot.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I had for the 2.
Your casting rods, I'm gonna go chatterbait, crankbait.
I went flipping and jerkbait.
Yeah. You gotta have. Yeah, shit, man.
Which is interchangeable. But don't you have to have something slow? If you're up in Wisconsin, it's natural. It's grass. Like you could even almost do a jig instead of a Texas rig. I think a jig is a great option. Like a casting / swim / flipping jig, like a 1/2 ounce jig.
Yeah. So it's not, this is by no means etched in stone, but it's a good rule of thumb. So if you're before the spawn, a jig is usually a good bet. Once the spawn occurs, then soft plastics becomes more of a mainstay. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's kind of, we really simplified it, but that's kind of the deal. And yeah, Matt, God dang it, I agree with you on the jerkbait 100%, and something to flip and pitch. I agree with that.
If you've only got 4, I think a jerkbait is an easy, especially if it's a grassy lake and it's one of those like up there where you get like the like that's going to hit them no matter what, is the jerkbait. Right. But I'm with you though. What would you recommend for the slow presentation? What works day in and day out? Is it just a straight up Texas rigged creature bait?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, but here, since he has the Flick Shake or the Ned rig or the Wacky rig on his spinning rod.
Or the drop shot.
then you could go with the jig on the baitcaster because you could take the Ned and you could do a super light head, put the 5-inch dinger on it, gives you the same, drop of a worm type of thing. And then the jig, of course, I would go 5/16 instead of half.
I like that because that's way more versatile.
Yeah, I think you get a good fall with it.
Little known fact, that's just a hair over a 1/4 ounce.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Brett's saying jerkbait for less than 50 degrees, crankbait for 50 plus. Do you agree with that?
I think the suspending jerkbaits excel in 50 degrees or less. But I've caught way too many bass on crankbaits in 43 and 44 degree water.
And I've caught a lot of big bass in 50, 60, and 70 and 80 degree water on a jerkbait.
Yeah, you just got to get a little more crazy with the jerkbait as the water warms up.
Here's a good one from Cam. Question. Why is it that some structure will hold big smallmouth all year, and then the same looking thing in the next bay over will only hold dinks?
Yeah, that I find that on the Great Lakes all the time. There's something about the structure that you find the big ones on that they like, or the bait fish that they want to feed on is there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Especially on the Great Lakes, smallmouth generally hang out by size class. So if there's big fish on a spot, there's not going to be too many small ones with them. And if a spot's taken over by a lot of small fish, a lot of the big ones don't want to do the competition for food, and they find a better spot. Now, I'll tell you this, what I've experienced, especially with smallmouth. I'll find a ledge, a rock pile, whatever, that hold nothing but 1.5 pound, 2 pounders. And I'll go back 4 or 5 days later and check it, and then the big ones are on it. So because they move around a lot. So just because if you find a spot that's holding fish, just because at the time you're there's little ones on it, doesn't mean a week from now the big ones won't slide in on it.
Mm-hmm. You're way bigger of a you're a flick shake guy. So the flick shake has a little bit of weight in the middle, right?
Correct.
It's like the jig head. We've done whole shows on the flick shake. The flick shake came into the scene in the mid 2000s, became wildly popular. It started with Jackal was the brand name for it, but some guys like John Cox is big on like a wacky rigged Cinco, that style of stuff. But what Frank just showed has a little bit of weight, allows you to get the bait faster, a little bit deeper. You can cover more water. You can get it to the fish. It has a different action.
Right. So when the flick shake sinks, with a 5-inch dinger on it, it sinks like this as it goes down, and as it's falling, the dinger's pulsing on both sides, but it's swinging. So I do that a lot, and I do the real light Ned head with a 5-inch dinger. It slows the fall down, and it kind of spirals and swims down. This is
just a picture. This is just a random hook on it. Like this is just a random one that I found, but you can see there where it's like, it's not a jig head. It's specifically designed for that flick shake.
Right. And it's really got a unique action. I've found times when they will take that versus a weightless wacky rig way better. And I've found times when the weightless wacky rig, they want better than the flick shake, but usually it's when they want a super, super slow fall or you're fishing them extremely shallow. The weightless one plays. When you're fishing it a little bit deeper, the flick shake is a better gives you a better option. When you're fishing it.
New one?
Excuse me?
Have you seen Core Tackle's new one?
No, I have not. Yeah, that's cool, but I have
It's interesting. I haven't thrown it yet.
it's really cool. I have to throw it. I get nervous when the weight's up by the bend in the hook.
It's above. Why is that?
I just want maximum hook penetration.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right around the bend of the hook, but it's also pretty cool. I think I would love you to try that and get your opinion on it.
Yeah, I would love to try that actually. I think the weight where it is, the weight's going to make it. I wonder how it's going to fall with the weight where it is. So I'm very curious. I'll have to get my hands on some.
Nicely. But it's called the weedless wacky shot.
Yeah, I'll have to get my hands on some of those because I fish them a lot. So I'll know right away.
Yeah. He says, I remember the Flick Shake show. Gonna have to rewatch it. That was a really good one. The Flick
It was
Shake
fun.
Show.
Yeah.
Oh, they have some VMC. A bunch of the different companies.
Oh yeah, they do. I use Zapu a lot for that.
Yeah. Here's a follow-up question. He goes, if I find a couple of dinks in a row, and this is back to the offshore smallmouth stuff, primarily I would say on Great Lakes,
Mm-hmm.
do you just pull the trolling motor up or do you fish around?
No, you got to look at the whole structural element you're fishing, because the bigger ones will take residence on the best part of it. So here's what I found. I got little crap drawn on every piece of paper on my desk. So here's what I found. Okay.
Multiple drawings today.
Yeah,
Like practical jokes.
This is kind of just
fish stories. We have it all.
We have everything today. So if this is your hump, okay, you're gonna have a gradual side,
high quality hump.
Yeah, you're gonna have a gradual side, and then somewhere on it's gonna be a steep side.
Yeah.
So what I found is that the bigger smallmouth tend to hold on the steep side of it. So this could be a 10-foot bump, or it could be a 2-foot bump. But if you see the 2-foot bump rise and then you see a sharp side, that's usually where the bigger bites are going to be, on the sharp side. But I have a problem if I'm catching dinks on a smallmouth spot. I won't spend long fishing it. I will definitely fish it if it's a big shelf. You're going to have to fish down the shelf because there's going to be a sweet spot on that end of that flat somewhere. But if it's a rock pile or a rise, you're going to fish it relatively quickly. And if you're catching 11-inch, 12-inch smallmouth,
do you still throw those like a football as far as you can away from the boat?
Like a football jig?
No, do you still throw those 11, 12 inchers like a...
Oh, gosh, no, dude. I never treat them that badly, man.
It's a joke.
I know.
I'm kidding.
No,
Frank, you are very fish friendly. You're the most fish friendly guy that I have fished with. I noticed that up in Ohio. Like, there's no tossing of the fish back. It is always a MLF release in your neck of the woods. All right, here's one. Now, if this is too close to home, too personal, you don't want to dive into it, just say it. But Joe said, how would you fish Salt Fork right now? Which I looked up, and Salt Fork is in Ohio.
Oh, yeah, it's in Ohio.
You're grimacing. Just spent 3 days there getting smoked. What could I have done differently?
Well, okay.
It's tricky, huh?
Do we not want to? No, because I don't have to disclose any locations. But here's the thing, okay? If it's hard to say because, okay, hold on a second. So if guys are catching them, all right, if guys are catching them and you're not catching them, then either you're 100% fishing the wrong area, wrong depth, okay, or you're doing something drastically wrong. Like you're throwing the wrong lure choice. Maybe you're fishing too fast when you need to fish super slow, or maybe you're fishing too slow when you need to fish super fast. I know with all lakes, certain lakes have color preferences. So you'll want to find out if
This
there's
is Frank's way of saying he does not want to give up what color he throws on Salt Fork, and that there is a bite there, and is in general you could take it to where if you are doing 3 days without success, sometimes you need to cancel what you've been doing, get a fresh start, and try something completely different.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Did I?
Yes, but here, I don't want to be rude. I'll just tell you that a lot of times early in the spring, your craw colors have a tendency to be better on that particular lake.
There you go.
I know I didn't help this poor guy out.
No, I shouldn't. I should have somehow asked before I brought up a specific lake. It's kind of like last week's show where we just talked about stuff we shouldn't have talked about. But
I forgot all about
that.
So
here's something that'll happen. If you're one of the 200 that was privileged to watch that, we appreciate the tight-lipped. That's Frank. If Frank Scalish tells you not to talk, it's probably best not to talk, right, Frank? And we've got an all-time best of BTL clip that we could share soon, but not yet.
Oh,
but we will circle back and share that clip, because I rewatched the clip and it was quite amusing.
Yeah, so
the moment when we both knew we had
made a very big mistake.
A very grave mistake. Like, it involved multiple phone calls immediately after the show while Frank and I were still on to see just how grave the mistake was.
Yeah, so we could probably show that,
in June sometime.
June 5th.
Yeah. So. When was the last time you went out on an inland lake with live bait, Frank? Whether that be a water dog, a night crawler, a shiner, a minnow. Like, when was the last time you went out targeting bass, I mean?
I'm going to tell you something, dude. I was probably 20.
So it's been 20 years.
It's been, it's been 20 plus years. So here, listen to this crap. So I was on Chautauqua in New York, and I was snorkeling with my buddy Brian and I. We were snorkeling, and I don't want to say we were spearfishing, but we were snorkeling. And I turned over these big flat rocks, and they had water dogs that were like as big around as hot dogs. Like when you grabbed them, they were gigantic. So I'm like, holy smokes, I have to take these. I got to catch some of these, and I want to put them on the back of a big jig. And I put them I used them as jig trailers, and oh my God, the bass that we caught it was unbelievable. But I felt kind of bad hooking them poor little guys up, but I say little, they were like 8 to 12 inchers. I mean, they were monsters. Mm-hmm. But yeah. And I caught one ice fishing one time too, by the way.
Before we wrap things up, like I said, merch store is closed now, but the next drop will be the Frank Scalish drop. So we have the Lily Pad Frank Scalish signature drawing on a patch hat, Richardson 112, limited to 100. And that's not because we're trying to do another special. Oh, get it before they sell out. That's because I didn't want to buy 100 patches because they're expensive when you start doing all this stuff with them. So that's
especially the color ones.
Yeah. But today I thought that the phrase "keep it," Luredet did have a shirt before they received the cease and desist order that said Shad Week.
It was so good. That shirt, I have 2 of them. The shirt was so money.
Yeah, I've got one, but I also see maybe another drop that says "Keep it Shaddy."
Yeah,
with a drawing of either a gizzard or a thread fin below it, Frank, with one of your renderings.
Yeah, that's sweet, dude.
I could see that. I could see that being a badass design.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now while we speak.
Keep it shaddy. I mean, however you want to do that with but a picture of a shad on it, and then the Frank Scalish signature underneath it. And we're bringing back the black with the chalk out, like that shirt you've got on, except in a smallmouth.
Yes.
Just that exact shirt that you have
with
that brand, make everything.
Yes.
Just the smallmouth though on the back.
Oh, I'm in. I'm
chalk outline.
Of them. Yeah. Yeah. Should I turn around?
Yeah. Yep. Perfect. Except that's just going to be a smallmouth in the back.
Yes. Love it.
I also think we're going to bring it back. If you saw what we did in the BTL St. Jude shirts, there's like some different color combinations that would look gnarly.
Yeah, some of those color St. Jude shirts were good, dude.
Yeah, that was all.
I got the black
Catherine.
one,
yeah, that was all. Thank you. So appreciate the support.
For
that was
the
all
slimming profile.
Catherine at the ATS and John Gilman, those guys over at ATS kick ass. So.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Next Thursday, no live show.
No live show?
Well, it's the St. Jude.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I thought I had I thought I had a free day, but I would be on location, but we would just do it. But I will literally be like on the water right then.
Yeah.
Like I said, remember that whole debacle of a story?
Yeah. What's the date on that?
I don't know. April.
Oh yeah, no show.
May 1st.
Yeah, I got it written down here.
You got no show written down. Okay.
I have no show written down. I got a day off, man. I'm going fishing.
I would go fishing too, based on what you've been catching. You have been blistering them, Frank. Like you've had a very good early spring. Since we've started doing the show, like I haven't known you for all 45 years of your life, but since I've known you, this is your best start to a spring in recent memory.
Oh yeah, I had So here's what happened. I started trying to target only big bass about 3 years ago, where I really wasn't going out to get bites. I was really going out to figure out how to catch big fish here in Ohio. And it started out funky because I'm used to catching a lot of fish. And I had to get the mindset that I in this process to try to only catch better quality, I'm going to have to give up bites. However, saying that, you need bites to tell you and guide you where you're going. I started to realize that if I'm catching a certain size class of fish, and only every now and then I'm catching a big one, the minute I catch the big one, I have to focus on where it was, how I caught it, what I did, what depth it was at, in order to change what I'm doing to, catch bigger ones. Like I said, yesterday, I could have stayed in that 8 to 12 range, probably could have pecked it out the whole day, maybe caught 10 or 11 fish. No way would I have caught what I caught. There's no way. So that's when I changed. So I just been really kind of good at keeping disciplined, giving up catching numbers to catching good ones.
Now I'm going to ask you a couple questions. This is going to lead somewhere before we wrap things up. A, is there a topwater bite that will be happening in the next week in Ohio? Just yes or no. I'm going somewhere with this. Okay. And B, is there a Carolina rig bite that will be happening somewhere in Ohio in the next week?
Yes.
And C, are you excited that Mark Jeffries is coming up to Cleveland for a number of days and you guys are going to be fishing?
No. Of course I am, dude. Of course I am.
He's beyond pumped up. I talked to him yesterday about it, and he was like, "Yeah, we're doing like one day not," and he's like, "But we're gonna get a couple days in."
Yeah, we're gonna have two full days in. One day we're not. Unfortunately, the weather's gonna take a slide, so I have a change.
Oh no!
Yeah, we're gonna be okay. I have a change of game plan on the lakes we're gonna go to. Mark's gonna have a lot of fun. It's gonna be. I got all his rods already pre-rigged and ready to go.
Really?
Yeah, I gave him all the wrong colors and sizes.
Do you have a number? Oh, you need to have a picture of Mark with the. This is no joke. Mark with the number 7 spook with you next to him with, you know, the number 7 hanging out of the bass's mouth and him holding it and you and him together like that. I would like to have that picture in the studio.
He caught one on the 7 the other day.
I know, but not with you. You're the one who painted the 7 and did the color of it. Like, I mean, I would like.
We're not gonna get a spook bite.
There's not a single chance that could happen.
Mm.
Come on.
Yeah, we're a
So
smidge.
it's a dog bite.
We're a smidge early. It'll be if we get any topwater bites, it's going to be a crazy shad bite.
If they ate the crazy shad, you could get a bite on that.
We'll try it.
I just want that picture for the studio. That would be an iconic
It'd
BTL picture.
Yeah, we'll try it.
He would be down for that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I can't wait till he gets here. It'll be fun. You know, it's like Mark and I don't get to see each other or hang out all that much. So when we get a chance, it's always a good time. I just wish he could taste food.
He'll never be able to again.
Ever? Never?
I don't think so. I think that was like, I think the taste got knocked out of him when he had his banana peel fall.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's not a COVID thing. It happened when he hit his head.
Yeah. I would lose a lot of weight if I couldn't taste food.
Yeah.
I would
watch him eat. It's pretty clear he doesn't taste it. He just just inhaled it.
Yeah. It's like a frog eating a fly.
Just inhales it. So. All right. Anything else, Frank?
No, I mean, no, just, go to LureNet, use your BTL 25 code.
Did you see what's on that thing, the lead today?
The dart, baby. The dart. Pull that thing up.
Yeah, 1 second. Get all my other tabs out.
Yeah, if you guys
look at that thing.
That looks great. I'm gonna get them and I'm gonna put points on them and use them.
Okay, so I'm assuming, like, look, you can tell right there where it goes all the way through. So I'm assuming
they're slip floats.
Yeah, so either casting out into a river, like I would see like river drifting here, where you're like at the bank below a dam and you need to get that sucker way out there, but you don't want anything super heavy. Like this thing, I don't know. I'm not even going to ask you how it's done because it's obviously you haven't used it, but like I was a big, I personally knew Mick Thill.
Oh, no kidding.
I didn't tell you that story?
No.
So back when I was a casting champion, whoa, sorry about that.
No,
back when I was a casting champion, we were at, and he's a European dude, right? So the Thill, Thill, is named after Mick Thill, who was a European bank angler. And a float aficionado. Anyway, I was doing a seminar, and I walked up to him because he had one of those 35-foot rods over like the Thill fishing. This was before I believe Lindy bought him. And he was like, "Hey, would you be interested in starting like a Team USA bank fishing, like the junior division and stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah,
like match fishing." They did.
Yeah. So I need to show you this. I've got this Plano box of all these bizarre floats that Mick Thill gave me back in the late 90s.
Oh, dude,
that never went to market. I mean, they're all like 8 to 14 inches long with different varying, porcupine quills and all sorts of different weighting on it. And, most of them are bulbous. And then there's like the little like stick sticking off and then a little ball on the top because that weighting, you weight it with the BBs.
Right. Because you want the whole float underwater except the skin part, the top of the skinny little stick.
Yeah.
Because then when the fish grabs the live bait, they feel no resistance.
Do you want me to see if I can go grab them real quick or not?
Yeah, get them, dude.
Do you have any good stories, like any float stories? Have you ever fished a float for bass that wasn't a float and fly? Like, is there any applications?
I've never done it for bass that wasn't a float and fly.
No. Have you ever float and flied non-traditionally, like in Ohio and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. Really? I did it on Gunnersville.
Oh, tell that story. I'll go see if I can find these bizarre Frankenstein floats.
Okay,
I wasn't gonna just leave you dry where you're just like,
oh yeah, you're
like,
like just sit there like this and wait for you. So yeah, so when I first heard about the float and fly, I got I tied my own. So what I did was I got pictures of float and flies and understood the principles of them, so I tied my own. And unfortunately for me, the first opportunity that I had to fish them was on Gunnersville, and it was completely not the right. It wasn't for the application, like cold water, et cetera, et cetera. It was just I wanted to try them, and so I picked a steep bank. And I had at the time I had these floats that they didn't have weight on them, but you could pull them apart, fill them with water, and put them back together. And so they were water filled, so you got the weight from the water, and it was pretty cool. And so I remember I pulled up to this one steep bank with a big floating dock on the end of it, and I launched this thing out there, and you know I got 10 feet of line out behind it, and I'm not using the right rod or anything for it. And so you kind of flick it back there, and when your line tightens up, you let her rip. And I launch it out there, and I'm sitting there and I'm shaking it, moving it, shaking it, and all of a sudden that float goes underwater. I'm like, oh my God, I got one. So I was catching these little spotted bass with the thing, doing it that way. And I said, okay, it works. You know what I mean? It works. So then I had a rod made for me, specifically for float and fly fishing. It was 7 feet 11 inches because at the time you couldn't have a rod longer than 8 feet in the boat. So it was collapsible handle, 7-11, super soft tip, nice backbone, so I could launch the thing with all the line out. So it basically, so I made my own rod from it, and then I fished it at home. I caught fish on it at home in the cold weather months. But the weird thing was like they do in the Tennessee when you're fishing over the long points or the steep breaks, and you got 14 feet of line or 10 feet of line out. At home, I was only having to have 6 or 7 feet of line out to catch them, because the lakes were shallower and the bass didn't relate to the steeper, deeper stuff. So it was kind of cool.
I forgot that
you don't have them.
No, I have them, but have you ever had that thing where you're going fishing and there's one thing and you know you've got it and you think you know where it is,
and you don't,
and then well, no, this is why I don't know where it is, and then you frenetically completely screw up the organization of everything in your house or shop or whatever looking for it. Because instead of like being like, oh, that's not it, you get to the point where you're just chucking stuff around.
I don't chuck stuff around.
Okay. Well, anyway, I was looking for something the other day, and that's how I found the box of floats. It's a big Plano box of floats, but it wasn't what I was looking for. So in my quest to find the unfindable box, I don't know what I did with that box, because I literally stopped and went, oh, I forgot I had these. Those are badass. And then I continued my frantic search for the box that I was looking for.
It's under something so stupid.
Yes, I 100% agree with that.
It's going to be under something. And I told them,
like, I know where it is. Like, I know what it's within a 20-foot. It's within a 30-foot section. But where in there? Like, I'm not going to spend 30 minutes digging around out there for it.
No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Next show is May 8th, and it is show number 200, Frank.
Outstanding. I'm going to write that down because I already wrote it down. I'm ahead of the game. How am I ahead of the game here?
Because we had a planning session last week.
That's true. 200th BTL.
Yeah.
Money, money, money.
Yeah, that was interesting. All right, this has been another edition of Day 4 with the man, Frank SCALISH. We'll see you in 2 weeks, everybody. We'll talk to you then.